back, everybody, to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Welcome back, Berenice. I feel like it hasn't even been that long since we've talked. It's been like a couple days. I can't keep track though. How are you
Yeah,
feeling?
the week was quick. She was a quick.
When are you going to freaking Orlando?
Like in 2 days. I literally still only have like one outfit done. She's like chilling over here. She's cute.
Okay.
Like, it's a cute
Ooh.
outfit. Yeah, it's a Day of the Dead theme one. She lights up. We're putting all our energy into that one. And yeah, it's actually kind of funny because one of my friends called me today and she's like, "We leave in 2 days. You only have one outfit and you sound so calm." This is like a 3-day event. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'll just throw some things into a bag and go. Like,
I mean, it's not like you don't have anything to wear if it really came down to it.
yeah, and the first few shows and festivals I went to, I used to get the jitters and the anxieties. But now you're older, the credit cards exist. You can Uber anything, myself, other people, things. I'm going to a city. That's the biggest thing about traveling now. It's like if I'm going to a city, then there's nothing I can't buy. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how I think about it.
Even if shit hits the fan, even if I lose like a contact or something, there's like avenues for me to get what I need. So I think that in itself has just made me a lot more relaxed about trips in general. So yeah, right now it's more of like how much I can get done rather than like I need to get all these things going. So I'm good. I'm keeping calm. I'm being in tune with my emotions because like election day's tomorrow.
Oh
We're recording
yeah.
on Monday, so yeah, it's happening. And I think like days like today just take it out of me emotionally, energetically. Yeah, how are you feeling?
Honestly, let's start. Let's do what we call Oreo. You know how we were requested to give feedback in the sorority. You say something good, something bad, and then something in the end. Something good. I like basically redid my office because now that I'm working from home full time, I like prioritized that I need like a safe and calm space.
Okay.
And so I went ham on cleaning and making it like serene and chill. The election is tomorrow. I started a new job today,
Right.
and obviously I did not take into account. I don't know. There's just a lot going through my mind, you know? So I just feel like I'm a little like I'm like, oh my god, there's a lot. So there's a lot of new information. I'm actually very I will say when you get older, something that happens when you like go to a new job is like the stakes are I don't want to say the stakes are higher, but like starting an entry level job, it's easy. Like they don't expect you to know shit. They don't expect you to know anything. It is like it's an entry level job, so the expectations are, I think,
Low.
sometimes
Yeah.
low. And then you go into jobs and you're like, oh, you expect me to know shit, and I do know shit, but like not like you know what I'm
How
saying,
much
like not
shit
in
do
the
we know?
context. Yeah, so I'm just trying to like figure out what I don't know and like what questions to ask. So
Smart,
it
smart.
is what it is. So that is what's happening today. And then yes, there's the lecture tomorrow. I'm feeling better than I have in the previous two. Why don't I say that?
Do you think it's because now we're used to it?
I feel that Trump has given us the most information and like okay, so when he ran the first time, there was like a lot of what ifs, and he hadn't done anything impeachable, illegal. Like he hadn't started insurrection. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no ammo besides like just who he was as a person. And then we had his first 4 years, and then it was kind of easy to be like, this was shit. And then we had Joe Biden. And now I think now it's like now it's him again, but it's like, okay, wait, like this man, we do know like how this man operates, and I think he's just not as strong of a personality as he was when he first ran. He
Right.
should retire. You know, he should hang up his political hat. He's too old. It's not a cute look. And I think the Kamala campaign is using humor to reach a demographic I don't think they've reached before. And I think she's also just kind of a more down to earth person than previous people, so I feel like she's been the best candidate against him, in my opinion. So I feel calm about it in that way. I think some crazy shit might go down, so like this might not age well. Like we might have something fucking insane happen tomorrow, and then this is gonna like age poorly. But I feel the most calm that I've felt, but I'm still anxious. You know what I'm saying? But just in comparison, I'm not having like a full mental breakdown. So hashtag progress.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I think like the first time Trump got elected, some professors were like, because we were in college, they were like, if you don't want to come into class today, that's okay. Like, you take the day. Because they just
Yeah,
knew the implications of that. And I hope my job does the same if that happens. Because I don't know, I feel like obviously in 2016 it was kind of like we were in a simulation because we were living in like like a predominantly white sorority, and we were, like surrounded by Trump supporters at the time. So it kind of felt surreal. Like it almost didn't feel
yes.
real to me until like other people of color were looking at us for guidance, and I was like, I think I'm in denial, but it might hit me later. And I think with any sort of presidency and stuff like that, I think things really start to hit you once like rights are revoked and like more implications to that are, attested. And I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of people, and I see that with a lot of people that I've been vocal about my stance. I think I've always been vocal about my
Yeah.
stance in the world, but maybe I've just been more silent some other times than others. But when there's a lot of rhetoric that comes out, I'm obviously gonna tell you when you sound stupid. So I think I've had a lot of interesting conversations with friends, and I've had this in every election where like a lot of people I consider friends come out to vote for Mr. Trump. And I don't know, it's an interesting feeling to look at people that you consider friends and just feel like you're such in different pages regarding, I guess, like humanity and common empathy for people. And I think to me that like makes it really difficult to think about like how I want to carry out friendships, even though it's like politics. It is about like a lot. It affects a lot of people's lives. You know what I mean? And also like I think as an immigrant and knowing how I felt the days where like Trump got elected and when he tried to take away DACA
Yeah.
and all of those things, it's like I don't know, like I'm a stand with my people, even though like this now I'm not implicated by some of the things that he could do
That we know of.
that we know of. Yeah, knock on wood. As much as I was previously, I still feel I more for people. Like I just, like because I know how that feels. So yeah, so it's been an interesting time. I think it's always an interesting time, but I'm hoping that it goes, we get like the first woman president. That'd be great. That'd be a moment. But I said that 8 years ago and it just didn't turn out that way. So I'm just staying like without any expectations, and we'll just like roll with the punches at this moment in time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Claps,
Thank
claps,
you.
claps,
Thank you.
claps.
Yeah.
Good speech. No, it had, I think different people have a different, like, it's really hard to see people who may not be affected by these policies be really loud about what does and doesn't matter, you know? I
Mhm.
think that's something that really frustrates me because and also I think it's really foolish that people think that things aren't going to affect them because they don't see like the wider picture. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like just because you're not an immigrant doesn't mean that immigration policy doesn't affect you. Like it definitely does. Now it might not be as direct as someone who is facing deportation, but you're going to feel the effects of a mass deportation policy. And it's kind of like, do you know that scene in The Devil Wears Prada where it's like, "Oh, you think that this doesn't apply to you?" That you
Yeah.
just go, you just go and pick out that
Ugly
sweater
ass
from a
sweater.
ugly ass
Yeah.
sweater from a discount bin and think that you're abstaining from fashion, but what you don't know is that like you
This
made a
was picked
choice
for you. Yeah.
picked for you. I think that a lot about politics where it's like you feel like, oh, I'm voting because of economics, because I don't really care about the immigration policy, even though, an aside, I don't think his economic policy is great, but I'm just saying it's like, no, 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 you're going to be affected by immigration. They leave that part out because A, they don't care, or B, they haven't thought about it. You're going to be affected by women's rights because, yeah, they're not coming for men's rights now, but who knows how in the future what this its precedent is going to set. So I really hope that things go positively tomorrow, and I hope that we can like have education over the next 4 years regardless. No, actually not regardless. Honestly, if I hope that people are getting more and more involved in politics, and I hope that they can like we can have better education. Like we need people to revisit like their civics history, their civics lessons, history, US history, on like how these policies don't just affect you, they affect society, of which we are all a part of. So I just really hope that tomorrow, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's is going to be severely affected, and for those who think they aren't going to be affected, like maybe you want to revisit that. But we have
Fun
this is
episode.
a fun episode.
Yeah.
So, if you need a little reprieve, we can't see into the future, but we'll have a little happy reprieve. We're not going to talk about, whatever for the next like 30 minutes. So, are we ready to get into it?
Let's do it. So at first I wanted to hee hee ha ha. So I was like, what would be funny to think about things I would try again. Because I'm not big on second chances. But once I started to try to think of things I would try again, I just came up with a bigger list of things I wouldn't try again.
It's like 50-50 for me, girl. I did about
Yeah. Okay.
I did some things that I could try again, but then I had some things that honestly, not even that I wouldn't try again, but like happy that it happened, but won't do it again. That kind of
Yeah.
stitch.
So the theme of this episode is should we try again? Should we do it again? Round 2, second chances.
Second chances, baby. Okay, do you want to start?
Yeah, and this one comes with like a text I just sent you. So I've been talking to this boy, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I once earlier in my life thought I was like hardcore. Like I tried cliff diving. I thought I'd go skydiving. I thought I would be tatted up by now. And as I've gotten older, I just realized like I'm a wimp bitch. Like I get
Yeah,
vertigo
word.
when I go on roofs. Like I think it's just not giving it's giving risk management is high. Like I'm not one to take the risk anymore. And yeah, so I've been talking to this boy and like he rides motorcycles. So like the picture I just showed Ella is like kind of depicting who he is. And I think that this is something maybe I could try again. Like maybe this is the universe telling me this is my chance to let go, to be present, to try something new. But at the same time, like every fiber in my being is like, maybe it's not a good idea to get on that motorcycle in New York. You know what I mean? But I still did it. So it's something I'm trying again.
Woo!
Yeah.
You try that again? Honestly, I'm gonna be so real. So when I went on a motorcycle in Thailand, I was like, I'm gonna do it once, say that I tried it. And when I was on it, I was like, you know what? I'm not built for this. I'm just not gonna try this again because I'm just not built for the back of the motorcycle life. And kudos to people that are. I mean this like my body is not like I'm not that healed, okay? I'm not healed enough to like put my body on the back of a motorcycle and feel safe. So I think it's better for my mental health to take an Uber. That's just me. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you. It's fun while you're on it, but at the same time, the entire thing I'm thinking like the whole time is like maybe I shouldn't be on here. Like maybe this is when I die.
Yeah, I was just okay. So something I put on like I will try again is going to another country without an itinerary. Okay, I try that one again. Okay, I think loose bullet points to a foreign country. I make safe choices, you know. But like I don't know, I'm a planner, and I most for the most part I plan everything like day by day, hour by hour to make sure I get the most out of my trip. But there is something really nice to like just go and kind of let what happens and kind of go more on vacation discovery mode than like optimization mode.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. I think I used to plan more, and as of later, I've been booking one ways, which is, some people find that a little cray cray, but it just reminds me that I have free will. It's like I could do whatever I want. I could come back whichever day I want. I can have flexibility to book whatever flight. I could go anywhere. Now, obviously, I have a job and there are bounds to that. Like,
Yeah.
is it really all that free will? But I do like that as a concept, and I think it allows me to like go a little bit of control and a little bit of like I could go this way or I could go that way, and be a little bit more resourceful about the things that I end up like encountering. For example, like for my Orlando trip, I'm flying into Tampa and I'm going to see an old college friend and stay with her. And then I'm driving to Orlando with another friend that I met like on TikTok and I've like been friends with for a while now. So I'm like, I wouldn't have the opportunity to really hang out with either of these people had I known, had no plan.
Yes, I get it. I mean just like do it to it, you know? Do
Do
whatever,
it
but
to it.
challenge yourself to like travel a little differently, I guess. I would definitely try that again. Is like try a different travel style and like sometimes like how sometimes like there's different like there's like the adventurer, like people that try to like go do adventure. There's people who do this when they travel. It's like try a different style, maybe go on a crazy adventure trip, babes. Like I would try that again. I would try going a full day of water sports again, and that wasn't usually something I would do.
I would like to try again to go on a trip by myself. Every time I try, people end up coming,
Yeah.
which is fine. But I think I still need to pull the trigger on fully being like, no, 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 I'm going alone. I don't think it'd be that crazy. Like I moved to New York alone, so I spent a lot of time alone, so I don't have like a fear that goes into that, but I think being in like a whole new different environment for a few days could be cool.
It's crazy you bring this up. I was just thinking about this because, like, I always have this idea to go on like trips alone, and then I never end up doing it. But I should really take some time alone because I mean I am an independent person, but like within my comfort zone of like my house, but you know what I'm saying. Like I don't, I will give myself a little bit of credit by going on hikes alone. That seems dangerous to me. No, just joking. But you know what I'm saying. Like it feels different to just
I
go on a
agree.
long walk. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean I like to go on populated trails, so I'm not really ever alone. But just like the like solitude of my own thought sometimes is enough. But I really should try to push myself outside of my own like city and do a different. I really would love to do a different country, and I would really at least a different city. Try a
Oof.
solo trip. I gotta
Yeah.
try that again.
In my list, I set team sports. Now, I think the reason I quit team sports is because I don't have depth perception, okay? I have a lot of talents,
Okay.
but eye hand coordination is just not one of them. So anytime I play any team sports, usually have like balls or like an object that you're interacting with a team with. And
Yeah.
I was just never good at those. So I quit team sports, but I do miss them. So maybe like a fun intramural or something, where I'm forced to work in teamwork because I feel like I've been working independently a little too much. And something about being in a team really puts shit into perspective.
Last night we played. Do you know what NBA Jam is? It's
No.
like a video. It's like an arcade game that's like a basketball arcade game, and it was
Okay.
like 2 against 2, and it had that like team sport like mentality where I was like, oh, yep, like I could remember why I liked being on a team. Like it is fun to like pass the ball to someone else, be like, you got this, yeah, you know. I mean, to that, I think something I try again is trying out a hobby and then figuring out that I don't like it. That's something I would do again because you never know until you try. I feel like a lot of people like they're like they will be. I get it. Hobbies are expensive, you know, but you never know. You might be surprised and you actually end up liking something. So if you ever have like a little bit of an interest, like try it out, and then it's okay if you don't like it. Move on.
Word. I will say I do try this once a lot. Where I'm like, I think I could be good at that. On to the
Right?
next. For me, something I'm trying again is is actually the opposite of that. For me, is just honing in on one thing. So I get distracted so easily because there's so many
Oh yeah.
interests, So we're really trying again to just like pick one thing and fully throw myself in it. But I found a way to pivot that kind of slowly because I think I've been like fully into like the EDM stuff, and now I have like a little rave brand I'm trying to build. Staying within all of EDM just seems like it's stagnant. Like I'm in a pond. Like, do I really want to be surrounded by all of this all the time? So now I'm like, okay, maybe I'll focus on EDM clothing, and then I'm gonna pivot over to like arts and theater as part of community.
Ooh, pivot to, I love it.
Right?
Yeah, I love that for you. And like, I think it's honestly like it's never a bad idea to branch out.
Well, I was talking to my boss, and sometimes when I've had really good bosses, and I've had some bosses that are not my favorite, and I think the difference was that my favorite bosses, they all had kids. So they all saw kind of like the bigger picture of life. Like this is a job, and at 5 I have a life, and I have people
Yeah.
that need me, and I care about that. And I found that balance to be awesome. And now, as I'm getting older, and I also have other bosses who don't have families, they're just like very all about like work, and they get so passionate about this one thing because it's like what you have going on for yourself, which I think that's great. However, I don't love that for me. I think that because I don't have kids or like a boyfriend or anything, if I enthrall myself in this whole like EDM world, I'm gonna become like a snob. I'm gonna become insufferable. I probably won't like me. They won't. Nobody will like me. Okay, I don't necessarily want to be that passionate about anything like that related. Sometimes I meet people and I'm like, they're really like other flow people that have
Mm-hmm.
very strict things about like how to use the whip or like how do you do this. And I never want to criticize them because they seem so passionate about it, but also I'm like, it's a light up toy. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
I think like in that sense, that's something like I want to keep myself not fully enthralled in like one thing and have that sense of like community is what keeps me grounded, that there's more to the world than just this one
Honestly, so on my list is like I listen to random albums outside of like my niche. I know that niche might seem weird to music listening, but same thing with books. Like I'll read outside like my niche of books, or I'll read outside, or I'll listen to an album outside of like a niche or something like an artist I've never really heard of. And let me say the one that I've listened to and now I'm obsessed with, and I would have never listened to them, but I just was like, let me find something hot, let me find something new. And so I just like looked up albums that dropped today, and then found
thing.
it's called Prelude to Ecstasy by The Last Dinner Party. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
They're like a UK indie rock band, and it's all female, and they're
Okay.
super badass, and I'm fucking obsessed with them. And they just dropped this album like, oh, I don't know, like maybe 2 weeks ago. It's the only thing I've been listening to, and I'm literally fucking obsessed. I started reading a lot more sci-fi books and
Okay.
fantasy books because I was like, you know what? I've been reading too many like romance novels, like too much smut. I've been reading too much smut. And honestly, I use the term smut really lightly. I wouldn't even call it smut. I would just call it romance. I love a cute little meet cute romance book. And that was all I was reading. But then I was like, you know what? I need to explore more. And now I've only been reading like fantasy, sci fi books. And that's been so fun. But I don't think unless I made the conscious effort to do something different and go outside like what I know I like, that I wouldn't have like introduced myself to a whole new like genre of music, genre of books, authors that like I haven't even jumped into because it's like I haven't read fantasy books, so I didn't know that there was these authors that have written like 20 fucking books that now I get to read because it was like outside of my niche until you take a little dip, you take your little toe and put it in the pond, and now you have a pond you want to jump in. Boom.
Yes. Okay. I like that. Are there any things maybe you wouldn't try again?
Let me do one more thing that I would try it again before we
Okay.
do it. Honestly, I think that I would do something out of spite again. I think spite is a great fucking motivator. And I think sometimes something can start out of spite and then end in joy. So I think if you're motivated by spite, I would do it again. I would literally run a race again just out of spite. Okay.
I think about this a lot, and I also think about my impact in others. So it's like if I don't like you, I'm also not going to give you a reason to take something I say and better yourself. Have you ever thought about that? Like I could be salty and I could be mean to you, but I feel like what I tell you could actually motivate you to become a better version of yourself. So I'm just not going to say anything at all.
Yeah, you're not gonna give the much needed advice, all right? So you're just gonna stay silent, keep the consulting to yourself.
Yeah, because sometimes spite is a great motivator to do
Mm-hmm.
anything, even like in situations of relationships. If you're like, ah, that person said like I couldn't do it, watch me. You know what I mean? And friendships
Yeah.
and family dynamics and anything. So I think about my impact on others in that aspect, and I'm like, you know what? I'm so spiteful right now that I'm not even going to be mean to them so they don't have like a reason to be like, she called me talented less.
Honestly, dude, I feel like that is I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not even to give someone some a motivator because like
No.
hate is motivating sometimes. There's
Yeah.
like a degree of it. Even though I don't believe in bullying, but sometimes someone gives you what I would call like a poignant read. You know what I'm saying? They say something about you. And honestly, see, this is what I'm telling you. Not spite, but like, I swear to God, I heard something on TV where it was like, "Would you marry you?" And I like have changed my entire person because I was like, "Oh my God, no!" It's like, "Oh, no, what you?" So you can't give people ammo to reinvent themselves. Be petty.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't show me. Don't show me anything. Just get away from me.
Okay, moving on to things I wouldn't do again, but I'll caveat. I'm kind of happy it happened. I would not max out a credit card again. Never, ever in my life. But I'm kind of happy I had that experience. Just in the way that it happened to me early in my credit life where the consequences were not so serious and I was able to pay that
Yeah.
off. Now I have the line of credit that if I maxed it out, the
You'd
implications
never
would
dig
be
yourself out of that hole.
it would ruin my life. Okay, like quite
Yeah.
frankly, and credit card debt is not something I would ever recommend to somebody. But I
Yeah.
think I don't know. Like there's something things happen for a reason. I'm really happy that I accident. No, I'm just joking. But I just mean would not recommend it. It's not like an experience that I would recommend to people. But I think life crushing debt is also a motivator that got me out of my a little bit of a life rut because I was like, I need to make more money. You know what I'm saying? Things work out sometimes.
Yeah, I think there's some people that learn by seeing others, and there's people that learn by doing it themselves. Now, I am big on doing it myself to learn, so there's a lot of things I don't think I do again. Uh,
Yeah.
I do like to learn by doing. I would say now when I hear like in romantic stances, if someone wants to get to know me and they have like just a lot of baggage, or just like things they haven't worked through as they're telling me them, I think younger Bernice would have been like, oh, this is something we can work through together. Older Bernice, I'm like, oh, been there, done that. I can't fix you, but I could be your friend from over there. And, I wish you the best in your journey to heal this wound.
I think you get to an age where, like, actually, I won't say that. I think there you get to a point in your healing journey where a project no longer sounds enticing. I think that there was times in my life where I thought a little pet project in ways of
Little
a
pet project.
damaged man was appealing, but I have since grown and I don't need any projects that I'm not being paid for. Like, we're not doing volunteer work, volunteer build a man situation. No, that's no longer in the cards for me.
No, no, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I would do again. I wouldn't say I built my ex boyfriend out of scratch. Okay, he was a great human, but there were some missing information regarding just like race education and like obviously like when you date like outside of your race, you have to build that bridge and you got to educate. I don't
Hmm.
think I'd do that again. Uh, it wasn't bad. Like he was very receptive to where I was coming from, very empathetic. Like in that sense, he became his own little social justice warrior by the end of it, which, it's great. I just don't have that in me to do it again and to be surrounded sometimes by like the environments that come from people that don't care to really like learn about it, tend to be friends with people that don't care, and maybe they care
Right.
because they love you, but their like community might not care about you. So I expose myself to like a lot of situations where I feel like I just wouldn't do it again. I'm like, I just don't want to explain how I'm feeling, where I'm coming from all the time, and like having to explain why certain things like make me uncomfortable, where I feel like if they really thought about it just for a little bit, they could get there. You know what I mean?
Oh, ditto. I think this is why I value compatibility a lot more as a fully developed human being. And I think it's just because I dated people I was incompatible with and really like built other people's husbands. I know that sounds like really wonky, but like I swear to God, like it's people I knew I wasn't going to be able to sustain a relationship with, but I still dated them and like made them a better person and poured energy into them for it not to work out, even though I knew it was never going to work out. I just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. They can learn that lesson somewhere else with another
Yeah,
gal with a little
you
more
know what I'm
patience
saying?
than me. Yeah.
Or someone where those dividends are going to pay off. You know, I kind of joked about this one time on stage and someone was like, "I cannot believe that you're viewing a relationship like an investment." And I'm like, why is it this not an investment but everything else like in your life is? Like, you know, you're investing in yourself when you're doing self-care, you're investing in yourself or like investing, I don't know, whenever you have to use resources, it's a some type of investment because you could be using those resources other places. And like that's how I feel about it. So
I mean, maybe we should have a man on the podcast to talk about this, but I feel like that's how men see relationships. I think as I've gotten older and become more rational about relationships, I see where a lot of men come from in regards to relationships because I'm like, oh, well, it does make sense that if we're like spending time and money on someone, it's like because, like you think they're like worth it, like they're investing on you. And I had never really thought
yes.
about my time as an investment before. And now it makes a lot of more sense. It's like, oh, well, why would I invest my time in something when I don't necessarily think like this thing is going to pay off, or I'm not in the place where I know that I'm ready for that situation?
Yes, I think how, I mean, I don't know how this is, but where we might differ, or not we, but like where I see myself differing in investment is like investment equals entitlement. I don't think like I'm
Oh, yeah.
entitled to your time or body, but it's just more like, yeah, anyways. So I think that's why I would not invest time into a relationship where someone I was not compatible with. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, we too grown for that, girl.
I love that for us. Look at us.
Right?
We
Okay,
did it a
another thing.
lot before.
I know. Another thing I wouldn't do again. But I mean, wouldn't do again, happy it happened. I'm like happy that I made a lot of mistakes in my early 20s while it was still
Yeah.
semi-social, acceptable and cute, because I think how people perceive a 21-year-old making mistakes and a 31-year-old making mistakes, I'm happy that I had that time at 21 to make mistakes, cuz now I'm 31. I'm like, "Oof, you know what? I don't need to do that because I know exactly how that's going to go." It wasn't always like I haven't always been the best version of myself, you know what I'm saying? But I'm kind of happy that at least that phase of growing was early on in my 20s and not like now.
I wish this with everyone. If whenever I see like a younger person in like a very serious relationship or situation, like in their early teens or 20s, where they're not necessarily like super happy, I'm like, be free, run around, make mistakes. Like, this is your moment. You know what I mean? Because you learn from so many of like those experiences. There's so many things that I got into that I wouldn't do again. Like, because it was giving baby dum dum hours, you know, like
Yeah.
regarding people who you trust. I think like those are your character building years, truly, to even like mess up in certain relationships. I feel like I learned by dating a lot of different people, kind of like the type of person that I want to end up with. And sometimes I feel like people that don't date, I'm like, oh my God, when you date, that's going to be so hard because then you're going to like, I just think that's a lot harder. Sometimes I think dating a lot of people is like kind of nice because I can really put down like, oh, this isn't going to work for me. This is going to work for me. I kind of know how situations pan out with different people.
You know, and like also people and situations, but I was also thinking like even in just like how I make choices and like discipline and focus, like I feel
Mm.
like I know what it's like to be undisciplined, and like I feel like that's not the story for everyone. Like I know some really successful people that have not had a time in their life where they were a little unhinged, and I feel like how do you know that focus feels better if you haven't completely been unfocused and like a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like the dichotomy of life, like I'm happy I had a phase where I was not my best version of myself, because now that I know that being the best version of myself actually feels good, and I can say that like with my whole chest and like mean it.
You know, maybe I could have done without some of the chaos in
Yeah,
previously to
sure.
know that focus feels good, but I can't tell when I'm coming into a place where I don't want to be. So I don't like, I feel like there were instances in college where I would say that was my rock bottom. But there were so many stages in between that where I could have said, maybe we should reach out for help here, or maybe we should do this here. You know what I mean? And I feel like having gone through that, now I know kind of where I'm landing, where it's like, oh, I'm starting to do these like toxic little things I used to do. And I know
Yeah,
that rock bottom is here. So let me stop right here before we get all the way down there.
I fully believe that you don't have to like hit rock bottom before you can reach out or change. I think but I don't know, I know that for a fact, okay? I know that like you you can be staring at rock bottom and you're still 50 feet up and you can just see and be like, yeah, I actually don't want to go down there. And then you're like, how do I stay up here and like start walking the other direction, you know? And I feel like those are
Yeah.
tools that you have to be in the dark, spooky place. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking, but I'm just saying, like, I'm happy now that I can recognize a pattern of behavior that's going to lead down a gnarly path.
And not just my own. Sometimes I see it in other people too. Like if I
I
have
agree.
friendship, yeah, friendships where I'm like, my pattern is that like I'm friends with people that have similar patterns, but also I can recognize when that's happening to them. And I'm like, I just want to point out that like some of the behavior that you're showcasing is a little toxic. And personally, I'm not trying to go down the path of self destruction with you. So I'm going to park right here and I'm going to let you know what is it that you like we can do here, but I'm not going to go down there with you. I don't want to go there.
I think it's easier to receive, or I guess for me at least, I feel like I have an easier time communicating with people because I have like a lived experience of being like, hey, like just what you said of like, hey, no judgment, but when I was doing XYZ, which is what you're doing right now, this is where it landed. And like, I'm just sharing my experience. I don't feel like you need to go there, And I think sometimes, like, I know I've had a conversation with a friend where I'm like, hey, like, at least for like, when I was unmotivated by things that used to make me really happy, didn't want to get out of bed, like, it was kind of like the beginning of da 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 da. And like, not saying that's where you're at, but I wish I had taken steps sooner to get my self care in a better place and like reach out for help before it got really dark. And I think that the person was like, "Oh yeah, like damn, I kind of like needed to hear that." And it wasn't like a judgment, but just like, "Hey, like I'm seeing a mirror of like what a place I've already been." And I think that's like sometimes my therapist is like, "You're doing such a good job," because I can just like stop for a second and say, "Okay, wait, we've been here before. Let's like turn this boat around a little earlier than we did last time."
Yeah, before shit really hits the fan.
Yeah.
Period. So here's to not repeating past mistakes, past drama. Really learn from what we've done, and maybe if we haven't learned, or if we want to spruce up the vibe, if it's not something completely negative, maybe it's worth relooking at it. This is not talking about exes, okay?
And I would like to say I think life is learning the difference between like a mistake and a happy accident. The thing like a happy accident, it's like, sometimes you make the best decision with all the information you're given and it doesn't lead you exactly where it's supposed to, or there's a happy
Yeah.
accident that happens along the way. You got to appreciate that and not beat yourself up too much because as much as I want to say I won't do something a second time,
I might.
sometimes it's taking me, I might do it a second, third, fourth, fifth time. And then on the sixth time, I figure it out.
I'm really done now.
I'm really done now,
At the end of the day, I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl. Or maybe a mouse.
Yeah? All right, we gotta go. Clearly, we have the sleepies. The election's doing something to us. I don't know what it is, but thanks for tuning in. And as always, please subscribe. Please tell a friend about our podcast, and let us know what you wanna. If there's any topics you wanna hear about.
We love you so much. You can find us on social media at thanks the number for your concern, and I'm at LL Tutor.
I'm at Berenice Ideas.